Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Any ideas expressed by the guest, myself, or commenters may not necessarily reflect the same opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Enlightenment defined. It is the state of giving or receiving greater knowledge and understanding about a certain subject or situation. Evolution defined. The gradual development of something, especially from a simple to more complex form. So what is Enlightenment Evolution? The state of giving and receiving greater knowledge as we develop from a simple to more complex human being living on Earth for our soul's experience. Welcome now and join us as we explore our Enlightenment Evolution Hour together. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is simulcast live every Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific from the Enlightenment Evolution Hour page, Matrix Minds Facebook page, and the ET Whisper YouTube channel. It is also redistributed from the Forbidden Knowledge News Network and Conscious Awakening Network. Hey everybody, welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I'm your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer, and tonight we have an amazing guest, a dear friend, a great channeler, an amazing human, Shaun Swanson, and I'm going to share with you guys more about him, but as always, from the very beginning of the show, to some of your excitement and to some of your dismay, I must do announcements as part of the routine, and I'll make them really quick, guys. The first thing that we have going on is network announcements. Those are the same as always. This show runs every Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, and we also have Out There Talk with Gaia himself, and that's an Instagram live show every Tuesday and Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. That's 8:59 p.m. Pacific time, and that's over there on Instagram at Out There Talk, and you can go watch him for an hour each day that he streams. Amazing guests. A lot of the same guests that we've had here have jumped over with him. All things that are considered out there by the collective consciousness. You got UFOs, magicians, all sorts of great stuff. That's really amazing. Go check that out if you're interested. Also, for the show announcement, we have more shows coming up in the next few weeks. I will announce the guests as they come. We already have a couple guests in wait and a few that I'm waiting to get details on for dates, but we're going to have a guest here every Wednesday like normal. Next week will be the 200th episode of the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. Holy moly, that's crazy. From being a monthly show to a weekly show, time has flown, and I really appreciate all of you guys being here and your love and support. For the ET Whisper, there are a few announcements. The first is going to be next month in Sedona, Arizona at the Sedona Ascension Retreat. I am going to be in a conference with so many other amazing people. As you guys have heard, Daryl Anka will be there channeling Bashar. My dear friends, Wendy Kennedy, Shaun Swanson, who is our guest tonight, is going to be at the Sedona Ascension Retreat, as well as many other amazing people. Ruben Langton, Linda Moulton Howe, and just a whole list of other great, amazing presenters. More information about that at SedonaAscensionRetreat.com, and you can go to the etwhisper.com, click on the picture, it'll take you to the site. Check it out. There are still tickets available, but there are not many left. If you want 10% off, ET Whisperer 10, all one word. It's not case sensitive. You can do it all in small letters, all in big letters. If you want to join and you want 10% off, use ET Whisperer 10 to get that. And in June, I will be in Mount Shasta with Ruben Langdon doing my event there with him. Him and his friends created this beautiful event. Wendy Kennedy will also be there. A lot of other people, and I cannot remember off the top of my head. But as soon as I get links, pictures, everything for the website there, I will be sharing that on my website also. And in August, I will be in New York with the human colonies, and I will share more information about that. So basically, if you want to know what's going on with ET Whisper, sign up for a newsletter. Every time I have an announcement, it goes there into the newsletter. I've run long enough with announcements, guys. I want to talk about our guest today. Our guest today is a person who I've known and been friends with for many years, who's come to many of our channel panels, who's an amazing channeler. Shaun Swanson's a travel guide for the tours of the heart wisdom in the universe. He channels the sound of light, group of friends, and Ishuwa of the Yahyel, human ET civilization. He helps people through their heart wisdom so that they can live their most enjoyable and fulfilling life every day. And I have a lot to say about his channeling. I'll wait to talk about that on a show. He graduated from the University of California in Santa Barbara, UCSB. In 1995, he started working as a healing facilitator and providing channeling sessions for people interested in spiritual growth, self-empowerment, personal healing, and deepening self-realizations. And I can continue to read the bio. I can continue to tell you factoids about Shaun. But I think the best way for you guys to get to know Shaun is to bring Shaun personally in and talk to him ourselves. So welcome, Shaun. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, brother.
Thank you, Rob. Hey, it's great to be here.
Well, I really appreciate the fact that you're here, and we've got a lot to catch up on. It's been many years since you've been on the show. And for some of our listeners, this may be the first time listening to you. And I want to get to your story to kind of tell people where you're from. But before we do that, I want to start where we always start. I want to go before your story. I want to go to that child version of you, the young adult version, the teenage version of you, and kind of get an idea of what things were happening in your life that molded your personality, your beliefs, your thoughts, that created the opportunity for there to be the Shaun Swanson that could have a story, that has the ability to go through this spiritual journey and channel. So, what are these early influences and kind of early pre story for us?
Well, I've always had an enjoyment of being out in nature and connecting with spirit, even as a child. And our family used to go out up into the mountains a lot on the summer for vacations and get out in the country. Really just felt like there was more life than what we were told as growing up, life on other worlds, other planets. I could look out in the stars and feel like I was communicating somehow to consciousnesses that were connected to those systems, those star systems. And so that was, I suppose, I've always had this knowing of life beyond Earth and a sense of communicating with that consciousness. And that's is really at an early age. And I certainly remember the wasn't many people to talk to about that idea. So I got into sports growing up. I was very athletic, very good in like baseball. I used to be a pitcher and shortstop and second base, and like to play football, organized football. You have the pads and the helmet on, and that was when we were really young back then. So the kind of thing where you hit the other team or they hit you and you just fall down and you get right back up. We were so young, we weren't really strong enough to hurt each other too much. No injuries kind of thing. We're too young for that. So I got into I suppose when I was in probably like fifth, sixth, and seventh grades. We moved from the Midwest to back to where my folks were from, which is on the coast in Southern California, to the beach communities. And I was fortunate to be enrolled in a class. They just had a space. It was called the Future class. And it was a way of teaching that was not your normal kind of class, not the normal structure that like most of the public schools are set up for. The teacher, we would stay in the class the entire day, except for when there was the athletics, physical education. I think we called it the PE class, which so most of the whole day I was in this class with the one teacher, and instead of going after each period, after each hour, and going to math class and going to English class, so on and so forth, going to history class, we stayed in with the same teacher she had a very open curriculum where she gave us books for different topics, like whether it was English or math. Uh, and she would let us decide which books in those topics we wanted to study and to learn from and go at our own pace. And so we had a lot of independence just to explore that world on our own. And she was very effective in guiding us along the way to make sure that we were getting a good education with it. But also, for many times during each day in the classroom, there was about 35 students. She would bring us together in a group, and she would do different kinds of interactions with us to get us to talk to each other, to get us to talk about ourselves, to get us to talk about the other students, things we felt good about, the things that we enjoyed about them, to give them brighten up their awareness of what they were like, so that they can learn things about themselves that was appealing or uplifting and attractive about them, and really strengthen our sense of self-confidence and self-worth. And also just learning to be able to communicate openly and heartfelt, and let go of all of this idea of hiding behind these hidden walls, and feeling that we need to protect ourselves or our image in that. So that was something that was very powerful at an early age. I was like 10 years old, I think 5th grade. So just an amazing heart teacher. Wow, her name was Pamela Skumovich. Just so far ahead of her time to be was kind of an experiment, and she was just fortunately she was able to present that type of curriculum to the school system, and they were welcome to it, to see how it would go. So she had been teaching 5th grade for several years. Every year after year, she was teaching 5th grade. But that year, the year I was in 5th grade, as we were about to graduate, she made the decision to go into 6th grade, which was a different school. We would be moving from elementary to junior high school. And she just wanted to stay. That class she liked so much, she wanted to stay with us as we all moved up to the 6th grade at the new school. So I got to stay in the class. There was about 35 of us. We all kind of graduated to the different school, from 5th to 6th grade, and we're all still in this class. So we got to know each other even better. And then the same thing in 7th grade. At that point she actually opened it up to 6th and 7th grade, and she was able to even bring it into 8th grade. So I was able to stay with her for 3 years before I had to move to a different city, a different school system. So just having the opportunity to be in that at such an early age, it really it just taught me that's the way I enjoyed being with people and connecting with people, and trying to be open with them. And fortunately, all the other students learned to do that. Occasionally, there was a few students who it just didn't suit them. They weren't comfortable, and she would see that, and they would see that, and they would move back into the regular public school system. And that seemed to happen rather seamlessly and rather easily. So the ones of us that were there for 3 years, we became really close. And yeah, it was just a gift to have met.
That's amazing.
I just about feel like crying every time I think about her and that opportunity, and being with all those fellow people, students, and to have that warm, rich way of learning to feel comfortable being with people and communicating with them. I mean, yeah, it was great. She was ahead of her time, and I love her deeply, dearly.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's so far ahead of time. That's better than what most schools are still doing to this day in the 2020s. And that type of education is one that fosters children's ability to think for themselves, to have conscious reasoning, but also to connect to people on that emotional scale, and be with that group of people for multiple years to develop dynamics and energy. That's so fascinating. And it kind of sounds a lot like I'm trying to think of the name of the school. It was developed a long time ago by this woman who helped with special needs children, and it ended up developing into another type of school. But it very much is open to multiple age groups. You've got 5 years old working in the same school as 15-year-olds, and all of them pretty much do what they want to do, how they want to do it, and then the teacher will help support them. And it's a free learning style. But that's amazing. I really love that, and I never knew that about you. I've heard some of your stories before, but never that one. I really appreciate that. So, can you take us to the lessons of what that taught you to be a free thinker, to be an open person, to be a heart-centered person, and a caring and a communicating individual, and tell us how you got into channeling from there.
Well, it just seemed like a natural way to be. And so after I left, when I changed to a different school, we moved to a different area, and I was no longer in that school district. So I had to move back to the public school system. It was just very strange that people didn't interact that way. And it was different. So, and and that's when I really got more into the athletics and sports. So I started interacting people more and with building teamwork, and that was really great, having an opportunity to be on a team with people and building that camaraderie and being sure there's competition, but I developed a lot of just appreciation of supporting each of the players and feeling they're supporting me so we can improve as a team and just improve as a group. Um,
I knew
and
you're a physical guy, and I knew that you like nature, but to hear that you did sports on a team is a fascinating concept. It's not that I couldn't see you do it; I very easily could see you doing that. Um, I just when you think about the sports players in middle school and high school, you think of a certain archetype of person, and most of those guys are kind of the ruffians and the brutes. I was one of them. I did the football. I played all the way into junior year. Um, so yeah, that's amazing to hear that. And through that helped you with the social and teamwork aspect. That's fascinating.
yeah, yeah, great times. Yeah, I love the athletics, love the sports, love getting out there, and it pushed me to excel and to learn, and observe how other people were, what their skill sets were, and how they were better, more successful, and then I could study them, and we could talk to the coach, and I could just learn to excel and become better at whichever sport it was, whether it was baseball, football, and in high school I got into playing soccer too, so it was. Kept me in shape. Soccer, wow, that's a physical sport. Gosh, that was and so it was just really having that sense of building things together, and it was valuable. And also, there's just that sense of getting out in front of people. I think as far as channeling, you got to get out in front of people. And so I guess you say, especially when I'm a pitcher on a baseball team, I'm standing on the mound, everybody's waiting for the pitcher to throw the ball before there's any action. So
All eyes on you for sure.
yeah, yeah. So those are all things that I can look back now and say that kind of helped me to get up on stage as a channel. I mean, it's kind of people are waiting for me to pitch the message from the channel perspective. And so that's kind of something that the baseball, being a pitcher, really helped me to do that. And so I was fortunate when I was pitching to have, like, my father loved to come out and watch me in games. He enjoyed seeing his son out there pitching away. And then I'm fortunate to have him when I was channeling. He actually showed up. I had a couple of opportunities there in Laguna Hills area at the Awakenings bookstore to do some channeling events. And that's close to where him and my mom were at the time. So he was able to show up and see his son pitch a channeling event, so to speak.
I remember you telling me that story because I was so frustrated at the fact that my dad didn't really care about channeling. He cared that I was doing something that I loved and I was doing it well and I was able to make a living off of it. That was his mindset. And I never got to show him my channeling live. Um, like a month and a half after I got back from the channel panel, his health just shot way down and he passed away
Okay.
from the very first one in 2020, 2015. So when you told me that
Wow.
story, it really stuck out in my mind. How was your relationship with your parents during the time you were doing this experimental schooling? Was it something where they were really supportive through all of your experience, or was it something where you just had a normal dynamic with your parents, or how did that work?
Well, I don't know how much awareness they had of what it was like. It wasn't something that I'm sure they had a basic understanding of it, I'm sure there was like the where the parents could show up and talk with the teachers, that teacher parent night. I'm not sure if that's what they called it then. So they had a sense of what the curriculum was like, how it was structured, and they that's there were projects we would do in class. Sometimes we had to build something, and so of course my dad and my mom would talk to them what I had to build, and sometimes it's wood. We'd had to build something like a cabinet or something, or and my dad would help me put that together, get down a piece of paper and build the plans and schedule the type of or estimate. He was very helpful with my being a student there. At one point, it was such an unusual class. Somebody got wind of it. I don't know how it came to be, but it ended up that a news crew came out. I think it was one of the networks in the Los Angeles metro area, one of the news stations there, to do a story on the class. And I don't remember too much about that, how that came to be, but it was then broadcast, I don't know, like on the nightly news one night. And they were really promoting this idea of this class and how different it was and how they felt it was they called the futures class. Maybe it would be a good way for us to, move in the future with our public school systems. And they were really, really talking it up. Like, where did you see that today? I don't know if you could see that today. But then it was really cool. And so I guess it was something. Of course, my dad every Sunday stood up behind the pulpit to deliver his sermon as a minister at the church with the congregation there. So that showed up as part of one of his sermons one Sunday, where he was talking about, hey, the news crew came out and we're at my son's school and we watched that news. And so that was pretty bizarre. Those experiences I was having in class, made it into the congregation.
That is interesting,
and people come up and talk to me after the church service is over, and they're talking to me and learning more about that and seeing if maybe they could get their child into the class. So it was very interesting the way that. So my parents and my father and my mother were very, very involved with that as much as I can remember. They were, and yeah. So I was fortunate. I mean, we had a supportive. My mom and dad were very supportive of me growing up, and we had our moments. And so, for the most part, it was very fortunate. And of course, my mom and dad are still married, and they're like, I don't know, they just had, I think, like their 78th wedding anniversary or something not too long ago. So,
holy moly, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in that regard. Yeah.
Well,
and I think that's very supportive
too.
For me. Yeah, that really helps out to have that kind of experience with parents that can have differences and but still really committed to work them out and stay together and keep that relationship going with themselves and with their children. And they're very much always worked to reach out and stay connected with us and communicate with us. My two brothers. And so, yeah, I think that's all been very helpful.
Yeah, and it's fascinating too. The dynamic of support tends to lend a lot of energy towards an emotional sense of well-being for a child, and when you're fostered in this program to use your mind and heart together and work with connections to people, I can see how that supported your emotional journey to open you for that too. So tell us, I know you said you were feeling about communicating and speaking to these beings as a child, and it started young, but take us to that very first time that you ever channeled, or the very first time you consciously made a connection, because I'd love to hear about that too.
Okay. So I was in San Fernando Valley in the Sherman Oaks area, and I could walk 2 minutes to Ventura Boulevard to what's called the Psychic Eye bookstore. And it had all kinds of books on, what you call it, New Age and consciousness and all of this. There were psychics there, astrologers there. You could buy incense and crystals, and it was just a really good mix of options available there. And I go there a lot. It was just to learn. It was a great place to. I was learning about different healing modalities, and I was studying and becoming a practitioner of different healing modalities at that time. And so I was in there one afternoon and looking at a table where they had their new books that had just come in. I'm looking at it, and a girl walked in and she saw me looking at, and she said, pointed to this book and said, "That's an amazing book." She said, "It's a channel book, and it's about this Earth, new direction, how the Earth can transition in an uplifting way." And I was suddenly, I was just kind of like, my energy shifted, and it was like I was walking through this portal or something, or opportunity to, and I was looking at her, and I'm looking at the book, trying to figure out, am I supposed to be talking to her, very attractive girl, or am I supposed to be thinking about the book? So like, was it the book or the girl, or is it both? What's going on here? And then I said, well, what do you mean it's a channel book? What is channel book? What is that? I'd never heard of this word channel before. And so she says, "Oh, channel." Well, she tried to describe channeling, and I didn't quite understand it too clearly. It still seemed like really far out to me what she was saying the channel book meant. And so I decided, okay, I explained, okay, I'm just going to get the book. And she said, "Oh, if you want, we can sit over here. You get the book. We can sit over here on this table, and we can have some coffee and read it, and I can talk to you about it." And so I moved forward with that. And that evening, I was home in the living room reading the book. And I don't know, I was maybe, I don't know, maybe I'd gone. So there was, in the book, it was talking about this idea of Earth and the Atlantean civilization, one version of this Atlantean civilization. And I just suddenly felt like it was talking about an experience I had lived somehow. And that really activated, like, if you ever feel like you got this tingling sensation running up the back of your neck, sort of thing. And that was happening to me. And then I felt like there was this presence in the room, in the living room, and nothing I saw, but it just felt like this brilliant, highly intelligent consciousness. And I was, through my work as a healer, I kind of communicated with that energy perspective, and it was very uplifting and positive. So I opened up more to it, and I felt the back of my neck, like the chakras and all these areas, start to open up, and then a shift in my throat, and two words came through, and this energy, this feeling just flowing through my body, this loving, permeating, massaging feeling through my body, just like tears of joy started flowing out of me. And the two words were, "Love you." And I just sat there in this, just being bathed in this lovely energy. I don't know, I was there for like 20, 25, 30 minutes. And so I was thinking about that. What happened there? Was that channeling? The book I'm reading, it was a channel book. Was that what channeling is? I wasn't sure what's going on. But it was in love. Off the night before, almost instantly, this energy being came in, and I opened up and connected, and then this loving, permeating feeling came through me, and the tears of joy coming down my eyes, and then my throat shifted, and the words came out. I'm not saying this, I wasn't thinking it. The words just came through and said, "Love you." It was amazing for me. It was a deeply connecting spirit energy consciousness, and I just loved it. It was amazing. And I just, for another around 15, 20 minutes, I just sat there like in this space with that energy, just bathing in it again. And probably maybe that evening I decided, okay, I think I'm channeling. I'm going to go back to the bookstore tomorrow. I'm going to see if there's any books on channeling. I'm going to figure out, learn about this, explore it more. So the next day I went down to the psychic guy and found a book, a really thin book, How to Channel. And I brought it home, read through the exercises, and it was a brief, short book. And so I went through all those steps, I think, later that evening. And I had a tape recorder, and I wrote out some questions and I had, so I could, what my plan was, I'd go through the steps suggested in the How to Channel book, setting the room, having the sound, having the lights low, having a candle lit, having incense, having all these things that really give me the supportive environment that are suggested in the book. And so then I pushed record on the tape recorder, a cassette tape recorder, if you've ever seen one.
I've seen plenty of them.
Yeah. And then so I would go into the state suggested by the book's channel and book instructions, and then I would opened my eyes just to kind of read the first question, and then information started coming through. I was just channeling, like when I said love you, and just words started coming through and relating to the question I had written down. So after there was no more speaking, I'd open my eyes and look at the second question, and then more words would come through. And then no more words came through, I'd open my eyes, look at the third question, and then words would come through. So when that was over, I would come out of that state of, must have been channeling, I thought, and I would play back the tape recorder and see what was said in relation to those questions I'd written down. And there was, it was good information. It was something that I didn't really know. So it was bringing me information that was, I thought, outside of my sense of knowing and awareness. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm channeling. So I started doing that a lot, day after day, getting all this information. And it was exciting for me to be channeling, because I felt it would be a resource to get information that I couldn't really get other places. I could ask any question I wanted. I didn't have to go down and try and find a book about it. And we didn't have the internet then. So, or I didn't have this access. It was 1995. So it was like get access to information through this process. And they started doing is they would say, hey, this information, you're seeing how it works for you. Perhaps you could open up this dialogue connection for other people. It's suggesting that I'm like, oh, they think I'm going to channel for someone else. Oh, what's that about? No, I'm good here.
Yeah, holy
I'm
moly,
in this
what?
space. Nobody knows that I'm channeling. I'm not talking about this. For some reason, I felt like that. I don't, I just my background and perhaps I don't know. Anyways, but they kept after me. They would just gently, after each time I do this, and if you open this up to some other people, give it a try. They would enjoy it, but see if they benefit from it. They were just kind of talking me through it. So that went on for a couple of weeks. And I had a good friend who was a psychic, and so I decided maybe I'll ask her. I'll mention it to her and see if she doesn't throw me out of the house, thinking I'm crazy. That's just where I was coming from. So I did. I mentioned to her, and I was kind of like waiting for her to go. You what? What's the matter with you? I don't know why I thought that's how she would respond. It was just something internal.
Yeah, well, you couldn't probably realize why it was happening, so how
yeah,
can other
at the
people
time.
figure
I mean,
that
I could
out?
go back now and I can figure it out now, but back then I was in the middle of it. And so it was, and she was like, what, you channel? You're kidding. What? Oh, can we do it now? Here, let's channel now. She's like, right now. What are you talking
Whoa.
about? I got to get my mind wrapped around this. Oh, now I have to do it. I felt like she really, okay. So I managed to start channeling for her. And then a couple of times she's like, oh, I get my boyfriend. Let's get him in on this. I'm like, two of you? No way. Two people. So I said, she's like, what do you mean? He's a psychic. He loves this stuff. He's like me. So I thought about it. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. You guys both come over, but one of you has to be in the other room. Only one of you at a time. So silly. Anyways, they both come in and sit down and start channeling, and they were just really supportive of it. They enjoyed it. So that was a good start for me. And I think anybody that is starting to channel or opening up to any of this, it's just helpful if you can put yourself in the position with someone else who's open to it, and you feel they're going to support you, because that really helped give me a good foundation for channeling for other people, was to have that experience. So I know some people just try and jump out in front of anybody that doesn't know anything about it, and then they get a bad response, and it kind of turns them down and makes them feel a little bit low about it, and maybe they walk away from it. So really, if it's something you're interested in, find somebody or people that are going to be really supportive for you.
Yeah, that resonates a lot.
So I was fortunate that it unfolded that way.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother. The audio cut,
No,
and
good.
I thought you were done.
Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah. That's all right. I'm halfway around the world. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. You're not at home right now. You're overseas.
Yeah, I'm out in Thailand. Yeah, I'm visiting some friends in Thailand. One of them's a dear friend, so I'm giving her some private channeling classes. So I don't normally do channeling classes. Occasionally I do for like one or two people at a time, and so that's one of the things I'm doing here. And actually meeting with, there's another friend here who attended. I did a channeling event in Sedona by the way. We're going to be in Sedona, right, in March 8th, 9th, and 10th at
Yes,
the
we
Sedona
are.
Ascension Retreat. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to being there with you. And so about 12, 13 years ago, I did an event at Angel Valley, New Lemuria, and it was a weekend event. And one of the people who showed up, it was just fantastic to have him there, as with the other people who attended. But you could just tell this is somebody who's on this amazing the healer journey, and he was just starting it off. And so now he's here. He's an energetic healer here. He knows. It's amazing to walk around with him around. I'm on an island called Kofangan. I don't know if that's exactly how they pronounce it, but that's as good as I figured out how to do it. And so there's a lot of healing and yoga and meditation centers here. And so he has a group of, and we walk around and go get something to eat. And all these people walk up to him and give him a hug. It's like every 10th person, it seems that he knows. So he's been here a few years doing his healing work. So he's got a really good, base of people that have benefited from what he does. And it's just amazing to hear his story. The path that he's gone from when he was at that event in Sedona back about 12 years ago, did that channeling event. So I'm here seeing him and also my friend who I'm giving the channeling classes for. And it's a beautiful place. I know where I live in Maui is an amazing, exceptional place. For me, it's the kind of environment I love. Summer is my favorite time of year, and it's summer all year round in Maui, in Hawaii. It's not for everybody, but it's a great place to visit for most anybody for a short period of time, if not an extended period of time. But so where I am now on Koh Phangan in Thailand, it's an island that's wow. The water's it's much warmer than Maui, and it's just an amazing. It's just an amazing place. But Maui is still my home. That's where my heart is. But this is a great place to visit if anybody ever's interested in getting out to a nice, amazing, beautiful tropical island where they're doing like healing and meditation, yoga, and other related kind of events. Yeah, it's got a lot going for it. So
I've
that's what
heard
I'm.
I've heard that that Hawaii as a state and an island chain has some of the highest happiness rates in their population when consistently polled, and some of the lower suicide rates in
Okay.
America. And it
Okay.
makes sense if you're in a place where the sun is always available, and where the temperatures are always nice and good. So yeah, I mean, I could see everyone I've ever talked to who went there, including my parents. They absolutely loved it. I've never heard anyone say, "Man, I hate Hawaii." You know what I mean? But you hear every third person say that about Michigan or the Midwest or the East Coast or the West Coast, but not Hawaii. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
excited to check it out too.
All right. Yes. I'll add to the idea you were asking about my family and my parents and how they supported the channeling. I got a story about that. If you got it, I'm not sure. I know you had some other ideas topics you wanted to touch on, but I don't know if you want to hear
Yeah,
that
no,
story.
I'd love to hear this story. Absolutely.
Okay. So part of me, my reticence in sharing that I was channeling to anybody else, I probably, a certain part of that is my family upbringing, and it's not so I didn't know this. I didn't know this. So when I'm laughing, I just immense amount of love is coming through me, and it's like tears. And instead of crying, I laugh. That's just the way. Unless it's really deep and heavy, and I can't get to it fast enough. I'll laugh if I can get to it fast enough. If it's too heavy and the love that's coming through is too heavy and fast, then I'll be crying. So then you won't even hear me. There'll be a moment of silence on my
Oh,
end.
oh.
But if I'm laughing, then I'm able to allow the love that's coming through really hard. I'm able to connect to it and bring it through my physicality, my body. I can handle the amperage. It doesn't overload, so I start crying. So the idea there was, so they weren't really. It wasn't something that I talked about. My family didn't know that I was channeling at all. So I guess intuitively knew not to talk to them about it, because maybe they would shut me down and they wouldn't support it, and that might discourage me. Is my take on that. So for years I was doing this, and they didn't know. So it was maybe let's see, it was like that 20. So for 15 years probably I'd been channeling, and they didn't know. That's pretty good. 15 years, can keep that secret.
Wow.
When at one point I had it set up an event at the Awakenings bookstore in Laguna Hills in California, Southern California, and they lived there. So I told them what I was doing, and I invited them to come over. I showed them, I sent them an email like I sent anybody else that would be interested in potentially attending, and talked to them about it, and so they thought about it, and so that I showed up at the event. I was set up, and there's a nice glass window, so I saw them pull up in the car, and they're just sitting there. They're just sitting there. So finally, my mom gets out. She's a little more adventurous, and I'm her son, so she wants to really be more supportive of me. So she comes in, and my dad doesn't. So she came in, she sat down, and we had a group of maybe 15, 20 people there, and it went really well. And people were at the end of it were just getting up and talking to me, and then she was so excited, and she enjoyed it so much that she started saying, "Oh, and I'm his mom."
Oh.
So that's just, she didn't want me to introduce her when she came in, so she wanted to come in and sit down in the back. So after it was over and she saw the people's response, how supportive and happy they were about how it went, she said, "Oh," and then they started, "Oh, you're his mom." They started talking to her.
Oh.
So we went home. I had brought my own car, so I drove her home, and she came in, and my dad's like, "Well, how did it go?" And he's sitting in a chair reading a book, and she was so ecstatic. I rarely see her that happy and ecstatic, and she's just talking about the event and what she experienced from her point of view, because I'm channeling. I didn't know what other people, she's an attendee having her experience, and she's sharing it with him. And she was just so lit up and happy and ecstatic that he started giggling. It was bizarre. It was contagious. It like just flowed into him, and he just started giggling like he enjoyed how much he enjoyed it. And so I don't know, maybe a year later, I did another event there. So this time they both show up, and and it was there, and it went pretty well. But there were some really strange elements to that channeling, to that night. Really unusual things I won't go into. It went well. It just wasn't as the same as when my mom had been there by herself and when she had told my dad about. So then that evening we went home, so I just brought this. I just said, Dad, you know how you do a sermon on Sundays, and sometimes you have that, it really goes over great, and you have a lot of people coming up to you after the service just congratulating you and sharing what points of the message you shared they really enjoyed. And sometimes, Dad, when it doesn't go over so well, for whatever reason, I said, so this was probably one of those that just didn't go over as well. So he looked at me like, okay, he understood right away. That was his first experience, and it wasn't anything like it was the one before where my mom had showed up. So he could relate to that. So then I did one maybe a couple of years later, and it was different. It was a whole different kind of interaction meditation with the attendees. And so I told them why I was there and what I was going to do. But I also said, you guys, it's not for you. This is so different. This isn't anything like what you would want to be in. And I'm not really sure why I thought that, but that's what I thought. So that's what I explained to them. And so it's like a half an hour before I'm ready to drive over to the place. It's like 10 minutes away to get there. And my dad walks in and he says, your mom's in the living room sitting on the couch, and she's practically crying because you said you don't want us to go. And she wants to go. And he said, you're hurting her right now. You need to let her go to this event with you. And I'm like, it's so different. It's just not anything you guys would be. It's really just, it's not like the one she went to before that she really had a good time at. It's not like that. And he said, look, I don't care. She's really shook up by this. You have to let her. And I said, okay, she can go. And you're welcome to go too, to be with her. So they both showed up, and yeah, this went over really well, such that when we got home, he comes walking down the hall and he looks at me in the bedroom. It's kind of like an office, and I'm sitting there at the desk, and he looks at me, and so my mom and dad, we've communicated. We love each other in words spoken over the years many times. We hug each other, we miss each other. That's part of our relationship for many years, openly talking like that. But this time he walks down the hall and he looks at me, catches my eye, and he just has this emotion I can see in his face, and he just says, my son. I'm so proud of you.
Oh my
And
Lord.
I just felt that really that deep love and appreciation he had for what I had done. Um, and like I say, we've communicated love. I love you, Dad. I love you, son, many times before, but this was something different, and it still connects to me this day. You might be able to tell I'm kind of choking up a little
Yeah, I
bit.
can hear that emotion in your voice.
Yeah,
It's so powerful
yeah,
too, and I
yeah,
know your your
yeah,
your parents are still with you, and that's a amazing
yeah.
thing.
And
But
then so a couple of days later, my older brother comes down, and we're sitting there in a restaurant and at the table, and it's me, my mom, and my brother and my dad, and my dad. And so he had said, look, don't talk about this stuff with your brothers. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've sent them that I'm doing events. I've sent them emails all the time, and they've never said a word to me. Nothing about it. Nothing. 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 Never said anything to me. So again, that's part of why I really, never really talked to him about it. It's something that they can't talk about. So I intuitively never did talk about it. It would probably upset them. So here we are at this dinner, and we're at the table, and my dad says to my brother with my mom there, he says, me and your mom went to this event the other night that Shaun did with the channeling that he does, and my dad says, and so my dad says, this is something that ministers with their congregation, and my dad, just as an aside, he's involved with the Southern California community of ministers of churches around Southern California, and they get together and they meet, they talk about how things are going with their congregation, what they can do to improve the congregation's experience. So back to the dinner table, my dad's telling my brother, so your brother Shaun, he had did this event, and so I'm not trying to say this to be braggadocious or anything. It's just an experience that was very touching for me, and it was just came out of the blue for me. I had no idea this was a perspective that anybody else would have had, especially in his position in the ministry in church, the Christian church's community. So my dad says to my brother, he says, your brother Shaun did this event with these people. Me and mom attended it, and within about 1 hour, with what he did, he took the attendees, the people in that room, and he brought them to a place in 1 hour that many ministers, we spend our entire career trying to get our congregation to that place. But it's just like, what
oh my Lord.
are you talking about? I still today, I'm like, what? What in the world is that? Wow, it just blows me away.
Oh
Um,
man,
yeah,
that's so powerful.
yeah. And so my brother said, okay, I let it be. That's where he's at. But I was so, wow, it was just, I love my dad for stepping up and sharing something to me, and to try and open the eyes with my brother, to try and help my brother. My brother graduated in a degree in philosophy. So maybe it's just a little different world than what he's open to. So I appreciate my dad trying to kind of open the door a little bit for my brother to explore a new perspective, a new experience. And it was fascinating. So still to this day, my two brothers have never said a word.
Still to no word, huh? Well, I
Yeah,
I want to tell you
and I
too. I
let it
don't.
be. I let it be. I don't try and talk to him. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, it's where it is, and it works. So we still love each other. We still have other things we enjoy sharing and talking about, and that works for us.
Yeah, no, I hear that. My whole family is very Christian. None of them, besides my sister, really understand it. My youngest sister, Mary, but they all support it. They're just happy to see me because before I got into my spiritual journey, I was on drugs. I was a wreck. I was really a bad person, and they just see me happy and living well, and that's enough for them. You know what I
Oh
mean? And they
yeah.
know that this was part of that, so they're
Uh-huh.
happy for that. We just had someone in the chat share too that it's amazing to hear your story for the first time. Just last night, they co-created a similar version of that with their own family, and they're in tears right now hearing the power of your story. So thank you for
Oh
sharing
wow.
that. I know you don't have a lot of time tonight. We can't do the full 90 minutes tonight. Um, and we're getting close to end. I usually save the last few minutes to do a personal round of benevolent questions to kind of get to know you as a person better. Right now, people who know of you are like, yeah, Shaun's the channeler. And other people who follow you may have known more about you, but people who haven't met you or people who know of you but haven't followed a ton of your work might want to know the person that lies behind the channeler. So I developed these questions. The lightning round will just do a few quick questions, if that's all right with you.
Okay,
Benevolent questions about you personally, if that's all right.
sure.
All right. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Well, it depends on the moment and what the color is going to be seen on.
What
Does
about
that
right
make
now?
sense?
Yes, but what about this moment? Like, what color makes you feel happiest right now?
Oh, in this moment, like green and yellow, kind of that bright green, a bright yellow green.
I love that it's dependent on the minute. This is the thing I was going to say earlier during the intro. I have listened to hundreds of channelers. I know dozens of channelers. Like I'm the only person that I know who has almost every channeler that anyone's heard of on my cell phone, right? I know channelers. That's what I do. And you are one of the only people I've ever listened to the channeling and didn't care if I heard what was being said. The channeling that comes through you is such a heart blast of love. You're the only person I know who does that all the time. Sometimes I feel it really strong in some people, and other times because I'm a mental person, I go through my mental state to listen to channeling, to receive it, and then understand that way, and then bring it through my emotion. But with
Mm-hmm.
you, I don't have to do that. I can just
Oh,
shut out the audio and just listen to the sound, and it hits my heart.
oh,
So
oh.
it
That's
makes sense
sweet.
that
Thank you.
oh, absolutely, brother. You're amazing. And the energy behind the reason I brought that up is hearing you say that the color and what you're looking at, it makes sense because you're such a in the moment and such a heart center guy. So thank you for sharing that. What is your favorite food?
Hmm. Oh, wow. Uh, Love, unconditional love. That's my favorite food.
That's the stuff you're doing every day. That's perfect. I love that.
That's
What's
that.
your
I try and consume that with my awareness, moment to moment. That nourishes me. Yeah.
and
Uh,
and
yeah. And then I'm looking out at all these coconut trees. So the coconut water. That's I love that. That's enjoy that one. Yeah.
that's beautiful. And I will say too, my word might not matter on a larger scale collectively, but to people who listen to the show, they kind of know that I always share my perspective. And one of my perspectives is the version of Shaun that's here with us tonight is the same version that's not on camera or on audio. It's the same version I've texted with, emailed with, spoken to face for the years that I've known you. And that's something I appreciate because you know how it works in the spiritual community. Some people are a certain way and in front of others, and then another behind closed doors. And I appreciate the fact that you're the same guy now as you always are. So I want to share that. Um, what is your favorite band and or song?
So the Beatles. Yeah. I usually don't have favorites. Too many favorites of anything. It varies. So like the colors do. But I really I've recently learned. I've just been learning songs of the Beatles, and I sing those. I can sing just from I don't know, maybe 15, 20 of them, and it's more the ones that are focused on love and relationship in a loving way. So the Beatles, yeah, as far as a band, whether there's a lot of great bands out there. I've just come to appreciate there's just so much going on with the Beatles and the words and the message, the energy, the music, the way they shifted the consciousness of the planet. I think they were I think they were just like a marker, energy of consciousness that indicated that Earth is going to go more this direction now, more into this love direction now. And I think that's part of what all those screaming fans was about on a deeper level. They just felt that, yes, the planet, we're going more into this positive direction because things could have got, however bad they may or may not be now, they could have been a lot worse potentially. So I just think they're one of those groups that really help shift us as a collective into a more loving state. There's just so many great songs about love and peace. But those guys, those four guys, wow! And of course they got the producers and all the people that help produce that music, all the engineers and everybody. But man, fabulous. So as far as and was the other one a favorite song? Um, hmm, yeah, that's no, that's just gonna be where I'm at the moment. And because there's some songs I could sing that maybe by an Elton John or the Beatles or Neil Diamond. Um, yeah. Wow.
Well, I love that, and all you need is love, right? That's the
All
ultimate
you
love
need
song.
is love. Yes.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. Because you're not a favorites guy, because you like a lot of things, a lot of the questions might not matter so much. So I'm going to skip a couple of them, and I'm going to go to one that still deals with favorites, but this might be an easier energy. What's the best place that you've been for the feeling of it and the beauty of it? Anywhere in the world?
Whew. Um, well, yeah, I've been fortunate to be in so many beautiful places. Even if there's snow on the ground and I'm shivering, there's something about it that I've just been fascinated by. Um, it's But if it's a place to live, I love the tropics. I love being by the ocean. I love having mountain streams coming down into the ocean. I love the warm weather. I love the feel, the humidity with the breeze blowing through, and there's this feeling that the air, the breeze, the humidity is just kind of like it's like embracing me as the breeze blows across my skin and my hair. I just feel like life, consciousness, nature is just giving me a hug, embracing me, holding me in a nourishing way. So, yeah, it's probably my favorite kind of a place, favorite kind of environment. Yeah.
Which is why you
So,
feel so home in Maui. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And here where I am in Koh Phangan in the island, and it's in Thailand is very similar to that.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, I
But
appreciate that.
yeah, well, I found I can feel really at home in a crowd in a shopping mall, where it's busy. Like it used to be the day after what Thanksgiving, I think it was. Everybody go shopping and there'd just be mass crowds of people in the shopping mall, and boy, I just love being in that sea of people. Just wow. And that took me a long time to get to the point where I could even do that comfortably. When I was younger, it would drain me. I would just feel drained and exhausted in a matter of like 10, 15 minutes. But now, and then over time, I learned to just to love all of that. And there's many different reasons why, but so that can be really enjoyable too. And it's a very different environment than being at the beach on a tropical island.
Well, I can't imagine. I've not been to a tropical island, although I've been to some beautiful islands before. Not a tropical one.
Uh-huh.
I'll be there soon enough. But thank you for sharing those with us. I'm
Yeah.
gonna move to the last part of our thing. I want you to be able to share with people how to contact you, how to get a hold of you, what services that you have that you're doing for people, and also what events are coming up. And I know the Sedona event is really big for both of us. We're going to be a part of this massive, amazing thing. And I already shared a little bit at the beginning about that. And also, if you guys are interested in seeing us in Sedona, please feel free to go to SedonaAscensionRetreat.com or go to ET Whisper and click the picture and go over. But what other things do you have going on right now? That you're excited about, events or things, and just kind of share how do people to contact you. Oh, before we
Okay.
do that, brother, I did want to say I always tell people what I think of the night, before I get into that, and I first of all, from the bottom of my heart, I've said all the lovely, kind things about you tonight that I truly feel. But I also want to thank you for being a real and loving person. It means the world to me that you are one of those people in the world that I look at as a very small percentage of genuinely full-hearted, full loving, beautiful, expressive, loved people, and it really means a lot to everyone who's ever met you, and anyone who's ever connected to your work. Everyone I've ever brought your name up to has that same beautiful feeling. So thank you for being you, brother, and please feel free to share what wherever people can connect and what you got going on.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Rob. You're deep in my heart. I love you, buddy.
I love you
Thank you.
too, brother. Thank you.
Um, so there's my website. I have two, Shaun, Shaun, ShaunSwanson.com. And that's one I'm just putting together. And that's going to have some like sounds of light activations to help people connect more to their heart wisdom. And then also the heart wisdom activations help people connect to their heart wisdom. And in that, connecting more to your heart wisdom just helps people to follow their heart wisdom so that they can experience, live their most enjoyable and fulfilling life each moment of every day, week after month after year for the rest of their life. And so then also I have Ishuwa.com. That's Ishuwa, Ishuwa.com. And so those are my two websites. And I'm on YouTube. I think it's like YouTube at Shaun Swanson, and on Facebook. I've just recently got on Instagram. I think it's ShaunSwanson.sol. That's SOL is Sounds of Light. So Sounds of Light is something I got started in a long time ago, and that's kind of a channeling of sounds that help people connect more to their heart, more to their heart wisdom, the wisdom, the knowledge, what to do and how to do it, so they can take action and live their most enjoyable, fulfilling life each day. So yeah, those are and so as far as things I'm doing, so I'm at a place now where I've really got all the pieces in front of me, and I'm going to start assembling them of really my primary function here at this time. Fortunate to be in this place and to have this opportunity to put together how I'm going to facilitate. As I said, I'm a travel guide for people that want to take a tour through the heart wisdom universe, and so that's what I'm going to help people do, putting together that kind of a tour with all the pieces that I've collected through my life of things I do and how I'm designed to. So I'm going to start putting that on the ShaunSwanson.com website. And some of that is like the sounds of light activations, the heart wisdom activations, do more channeling. And it's really just to help people understand how to work with the unconditional love that they are, instead of unknowingly working against the unconditional love that they are. Most of us are taught and shown examples every day of how to unknowingly work against a love that we actually are. And there's a built-in notification system we all have. And anytime we're working unknowingly against our actual nature, we have things like fear, concern, stress, frustration, anger, misunderstanding, dis-ease, and physical disease. So those are all notifications that are built in. And when we have any of those, it's an indication we're working unknowingly against our actual nature. So I'm putting all the pieces together to help people understand what their actual nature is, and to recognize the notifications so they'll know when they're working unknowingly against their actual nature, so they can turn it around and start working with the unconditional love they are, their actual nature, to go with the flow of the greatest power that requires the lightest touch, which we've heard before, of course. That is the nature of unconditional love, which is who we actually are, and how to put that in action, and how to put it in action in ways that allow people to experience their most enjoyable and fulfilling life each day. That's what I'm going to start bringing that out on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and also on the ShaunSwanson.com website. So, hey, thank you for letting me share that with you, Rob. I appreciate having this opportunity to connect. I know you've just done an immense amount of work in over the years, and you really work good, and you're really good at it. And I know you put in a lot of time and energy, so I really appreciate that. You just built such a foundation for more people on this planet to have access to this important activating knowledge. And yeah, you're beautiful for doing that. And I know Kalina really is helping you, and she's a part of that too. So much love to her too.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. That's so kind of you to say, and that's very meaningful to me. I always enjoy these conversations because it brings out the best aspects of the consciousness that both of us have in a dynamic that's different from, communicating with family or friends or people who come to get sessions from you. It really gives us an opportunity to explore that. And I've been glad to call you a friend for many years. And I really do love you too, brother. Thank you for being you. And thank you for sharing. And I really love your new mission statement, bringing the exploration and guide through the heart and the love system of each person. I really believe that you are the most perfect person that I've ever known in my life to do that, because that is actually what you exemplify and what you, if love were a person, that would be you. And I really love that you're the one doing this right now. So thank you, brother.
You got it. Thank you, man. I appreciate being here with you so much.
Well, absolutely, brother. And I can't wait for us to get some time together when we're in Sedona, just about a month away, a month and a day, right?
Yeah. And I appreciate all you listeners for coming in and joining us and being part of this co-creation with us here too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel blessed to have such an amazing group of people who listen to the show every week and who listen afterwards. Which reminds me, guys, I want to let you guys know episode 200 is next week. If I don't have a guest already booked, I'll probably leave that open as a celebration with you guys. So come on at 10 o'clock next Wednesday. That's Eastern time. That's 7 Pacific. Thank you all for being here. If you want to look at any of Shaun Swanson's work, please go to the description below where all the links are, whether you're listening to this live on any of the platforms it's live streamed on, or whether you're listening to the redistributed networks later on. All those links will be available to you, as will the chance to hear this back as many times as you want. I love you guys so much. I appreciate all of your hearts, all of your energy, and thank you guys for who have been there today in the chat live. It really means a lot that you're adding to the conversation. I love all of you guys, and we'll see you next week on the other side. Bye, guys.